Beyond the headlines. This is World Insight.
Hello and welcome to World Insight. With me, Tian Wei, our special series, Season of AI and Basic Sciences. Today, we are joined by 4 distinguished women scientists from all over the world to talk about their journeys, the challenges they have faced, and where they see science is heading for. From the promise and the peril of AI to the support that keeps women in research and science, our conversation cuts across fields, generations, and borders. What will it take to build a truly inclusive scientific community? How do we make sure AI serves as a tool for progress rather than a mirror to old inequalities? And amid the geopolitical tensions, can the collaborative spirit of science survive? Listen to their voices. So, may I start by asking you, when was the first moment that you realized that you should really celebrate the fact that you are a women scientist and celebrate the fact that there are many other peers with you in this world? Andrea, I go to you first.
It was actually when I got elected into the U.S. National Academy of Sciences, which I don't know, a dozen years ago or so. 3 out of the 4 women that I had been colleagues with at UCLA, including Julie, who were in the National Academy, actually came to the meeting when I was to see me get inducted. And I realized what a wonderful group I was part of. I really didn't expect them to make the trip. I don't think Julie had gone to a National Academy meeting since she had been inducted, and she came from LA just for that. That support was just really very touching for me.
That's a very warm moment. Julie, why did you go?
How could I not go?
That's a good question.
Well, first of all, I was the first female assistant professor in my department. At that time, I started in 1985. After that, the first 5 women who were promoted to full professor all got elected to National Academy. Why? We had to be 10 times better than the men. And that is no longer true. Now we can be the same. But at that time, that's what it took.
So time makes a difference. And Claire, when is the first moment you realize I should really celebrate the fact I am a women scientist?
I was very fortunate because I studied mathematics. I liked it. And I could continue without asking money to anybody, in particular not to my parents. It was important. And I got a CNRS position at an early age. I was 24. That means that I got a job. I was completely free, and I could do what was interesting for me. I must say that I tend to work alone, so I didn't really, was not really involved at that time in the life of the scientific community. So I was doing research in mathematics in a very passionate way.
Also, Xiaojun, tell me more about your first moment realizing I should really celebrate.
Yeah, last year. Last year,
that's specific.
Yeah, last year in April, I received the invitation from ICM 2026 to invite me to give 45 minutes invite talk in ICM 2006 in Philadelphia this year. So first is normally it's ICM conference. It's an International Congress of Mathematicians. Normally it's for pure mathematician, mainly for pure mathematician. I'm an applied mathematician. So in fact, I'm very happy. It's because it's my recent work on differential and stochastic optimization is recognized.
I really feel what you're saying, all of you, is being financially and professionally independent, while at the same time having peer support and role models that help you to realize this is the moment I should also celebrate the fact that I'm a women scientist. Having said that, though, Let me ask you about the area in which you're working on, because they are all basic science subjects, could be a little bit difficult for our audience to understand. But can you explain in plain words the area you're working on and the fact that how women scientists are playing roles in your specific area to help us understand not only your personal story, but also general story as well?
I work in algebraic geometry, and you can hear the word algebraic and geometry. That means that we do geometry where the functions are algebraic, namely polynomials. And this is absolutely magic because we can use the tools from algebra. From commutative algebra, we can do rather abstract things.
Right.
And also on the geometric side, we can go towards the differential geometry, holomorphic functions, and even analysis. So there is a full range of tools that are available, and you are not stuck in a small set of techniques. You can really think to your object from very different viewpoints.
What about for you, Andrea? The area you're working on and how women scientists are playing a role in the area.
Yeah, so I work in, it's broadly statistical physics. So what happens when you put many, many components and they're interacting together? The collective behavior of all of them can be very different from what a few of them could do. And so my particular field, I'm working at the boundary of actually several areas, statistical physics, but also machine learning, AI, and biological physics, and even now some electrical engineering. So I'm really working in this hodgepodge of fields. But my field, it's called soft matter physics, and biological physics is unusually high for women. It's a very friendly field for women, and so I would say, 25 to 30%, maybe even. Let's say 25. If you look at quantum condensed matter or high energy physics, it's lower. Astrophysics is higher, also similar.
So I fell in love with nucleic acids as an undergrad when I learned about nucleosome structure, how DNA wraps around the core proteins, and the first structure of an RNA, tRNA. And so ever since then, I've worked on nucleic acids. Many of you know, or probably all of you in the audience know about the DNA double helix, but early in my career, I worked on things like 3-stranded DNA, 4-stranded DNA, and then I started working on RNA because RNA is even more amazing. It can fold like an enzyme. It can do reactions like an enzyme. And then there are all the protein partners of nucleic acids, of both DNA and RNA. And how do I work on these things? I'm what's called a structural biologist, so I determine their structures using 2 techniques, NMR spectroscopy and cryo-electron microscopy.
Not only that, you're also churning out great talents. Women scientists, young women scientists through your lab as well.
Well, I think you make a point, but I would like to make a more important point. It's not just the women that women scientists train that are important for changing society. But I see a lot of young men there, and I feel it is equally as important, the men I train in my lab, because they learn how to work with women, how to work for a woman boss. And they don't actually, at some point, even consider. And they are so supportive of all the people in their labs. So I think that's actually one of the things that's made the most difference in moving science forward for women is having both men and women in our lab. Not just being role models for girls, but being role models for boys.
My research field is mathematical optimization theorem and algorithms. So in traditional optimization, the problem is deterministic and the time invariance. However, in the AI time, so now we need to consider the problem with different data. and also the time should change. For example, so consider the healthcare applications. Now we work for the olders, the care. So the old people wearing the smart watch and the smart shoes, smart bed. There is many variable is data. So this time is change every second. Also, it's the environmental data, and also the history, medical history data. They have image data. So it's the data come different form, and also with a different level of noise. So we can monitor the people, the health, and also predict their health situation.
Is there a difference between men and women when it comes to science? If I could ask that question. I'm not trying to be biased, but just what is your observation? And secondly, do we have to talk about women scientists anymore? Can we just talk about scientists as a whole? Have we reached that stage or not yet? Andrea?
Not yet.
Tell us why. Yeah.
So in physics, I'm going to strictly speak about physics because I spent 10 years in the chemistry department, and there is really a big difference in culture, I think, between chemistry and physics. But the culture of physics, I did not realize until the end of my first postdoc that many physics discussions are actually contests, and there are points being awarded. So if you say something like, I don't understand, you lose points, okay? But if you say, well, I think the thing we need to focus on is this. It could be you're saying the same thing, but you'd use different words, then you gain points. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea that this contest was occurring. And suddenly I realized it, and I asked my husband and I asked other male physicists, and they said, yeah, that's true, that's right. And to a large extent, actually, I think that culture is still there. So that is, I think, slow to erode.
So I'd like to start by saying I experienced both. I mentioned that I did NMR spectroscopy when I started my career, and there were literally no women. I remember giving my first talk at a meeting, and there were 2 women in the meeting that gave talks. And I got that talk because I was so desperate. I knew I needed to give invited talks in order to get tenure. And I went to the organizer and I said, we have interesting results and you have no women speaking in your meeting. I would never have the courage to do that today, but I was desperate. Anyway, that was the NMR field. It's now a really wonderful, open, supportive field. So it's changed completely. But then I started working on RNA. I went to RNA Society meeting, and the more biology you get, I think the more equal men and women. And in that area, I would say there is no issue anymore. So it really depends partially on the field. And another point I would like to make is at the beginning, when there is only 1 woman or 2 women in a department, we are all judged as universal. However we behave is how all women are. But once you get enough women, you realize that women are as different from each other as men are different from each other. So I think we are making a lot of progress. And one unique difference between men and women is women are the ones who give birth. And when I started, women were advised not to have children till they got tenure. And now, because it takes much longer to get to that point, that is no longer advice that is given. And I think the most important thing that we need to do, in some countries it's better, in some countries it's worse, is to have childcare. Cheap or free, good childcare to support both women and men. And that is the most, and not just childcare, but dependent parents, right? Also women take the biggest burden in supporting their elderly parents. So that is an area where culturally things can improve greatly.
And what about the latest subjects on artificial intelligence? I know all of your area of research will be impacted by AI, but at the same time, one could argue your research could also have an impact on how AI is being applied in science. So tell us more in this area, how women scientists will be able to play her roles in advancing the AI for science, but at the same time to make sure we're at the right starting point. Andrea, I have to go to you for that first too, and then go to Claire, if possible.
I have to say, I don't know that women have a role that's different from men on this. I think, yeah, because I think it's very important now that we use it very responsibly, and that we learn how to use it as a useful scientific tool, because it's not trivial. There are certain things that are trivial to do, are easier to do with AI when we apply to science, but to actually gain conceptual understanding, that's not what it's designed to do. But that's what we're after as scientists, and that's not so easy.
There's no much gender difference in how contributions are being made to the development of AI and the other way around.
Well, certainly in the development of AI, there's a huge gender gap. There's no doubt about it. You know, the people who are working on the algorithms and all that they are, I think that's a very male-dominated area, sadly. There's no reason for it to be, but it's culturally that way.
Right.
Yeah.
On algorithm, probably I need to go to the mathematician, as the mathematicians will have a better idea. So do you see AI era could be a good starting point for us to be, genderly equal in terms of both using the tools and for the next development stage of the tools?
I think that we have to be very careful during the development, the present developments of AI, because AI could also catch the stereotypes that exist in the society. So we have to make sure that the AI is trained properly in order to avoid to reproduce weaknesses of the system.
Xiaojun, your thoughts? Can the AI era be a good starting point to bring the wisdom of both genders into, the development of this? And can this be a tool that would help women scientists also to advance?
Yeah, I just say it's my research field is applied mathematics, especially is in optimization. I think is AI can help us to build a more reliable, good mathematics model, optimization model. And in my group, we have many girls and women researchers. I think women is good in detail. Yeah, they can, because when we wanted to make models, we need is look at not only the code, we also need make sure if every detail is good. Woman is good in that. That's I think is women and men work together can make a good optimization model.
Yeah. Julie was rolling her eyes, saying, "Is that stereotype, Julie?"
You cut me out. Yeah, I would be a little concerned that that's a stereotype.
So if you could explain to us in your field, how do you think AI can be a good starting point?
So, it's easy to be scared of AI. I count on the younger people in my lab to teach me about this because they are much better than I am at this. They know the questions to ask and get the right answers. I always get the wrong answers. So I think that's more a problem for the next generation than for me.
Andrea?
I think the important thing is in training. So for example, for using AI tools to do science, it is really important to introduce that training now at the undergraduate level, and that training will help both women and men. But that's the way to do it.
Okay, so the other thing is about cooperation. As we basic scientists, when we gather together, cooperation is always the key. Can women scientists play their roles constructively in this cooperation? Maybe I go to Xiaojun first.
We need a collaboration. I'd like to say some special is a position in Hong Kong. I think in Hong Kong is we need a collaboration with mainland China, and also we need a collaboration with industry.
Andrea,
can I answer this, because I love to collaborate. I mean, this is me, and I think one of the things that I have learned over the years is to collaborate with people that I can talk to who don't care if I say something stupid. And this is very important in physics. I think physicists are very afraid of being stupid because physics always makes you feel stupid. I mean, it's hard. As soon as you figure something out, then it's easy, and then it means nothing. So you're always banging your head against it. And it's probably the same in mathematics, but it just always makes you feel stupid. And I do think there is a societal difference in how men and women react to that. And a lot of men react to that by sort of.
So what about cooperation, as you just said?
And so cooperation, a really important part of cooperation is to feel free to say things that can be stupid. And not to be mocked for that, or not to lose points with the person for that, but because often how we make breakthroughs is by saying things that are stupid that turn out not to be so stupid.
Mm-hmm. Julie?
So I just, I'll say a couple words about further
cooperation.
Words about cooperation or collaboration, and that is that, there's a huge emphasis on collaboration these days. And it has both the good points and the bad points. What's really important is to make sure that your collaborators are people whose science you trust. To limit your collaborations to work that you can be sure is correct. Because your name goes on it, whether, it's yours once you publish. So for me, I'm very selective about who I collaborate with. And also because by nature, I like to do things myself and figure everything out. So I think collaboration is great, but you want to do it in a careful way. I would like to say something else that, especially for the young people, one of the most wonderful things I discovered when I started doing science is that you become part of this international community. That is something so special to science. And then as you work more and more in the field, you have friends and colleagues all over the world. And you are exposed to how science is done differently in different places. And it makes you think differently. And it makes you smarter.
So, on the subject of collaboration.
About collaboration and cooperation.
I like, above all, working alone. I like doing research by myself. Maybe it's close to what you said. Doing things by yourself, it's very different.
So having the independent spirit as a scientist, but at the same time be inspired and be mutually stimulating to your peers in subjects. That will be really a wonderful and ideal stage. Thank you so much. We are really running out of time. I want to have maybe our audience to ask the questions that you're interested in.
I have a lot of friends who work in the field of math and physics, which even though UCLA is a great college, it's very good in gender equality. It's still somewhat a male-dominated field, and my friends have a constant pressure to work better than their male peers and to be better than them. However, in the outsider's eyes, because there are those programs that are dedicated to supporting women, some of them may see the women scientists working in these fields with like a lens that they're only successful because they received more aid than their male peers.
Does the gender supporting system within the academic circle, is it really helpful for reduce prejudices or establish more prejudice? What kind of a system should we have based on merits or based on gender? No matter what gender we are talking about. Okay.
This is a problem that I faced every woman I know, extremely successful women I know, that have this same insecurity. And because people tell us, oh, you only got this job interview because you're a woman. You only, through my whole career, when I was elected to National Academy, I heard that a friend said, oh, she only got in because she's a woman. And that, there's a part of us that feel, oh, maybe that's true. But what the other part of me, the strong part, was that if I wasn't a woman, I would have been elected sooner. And that's what you need to hold on to, that strength inside you, because that's the truth.
And that is my latest conversation with 4 women scientists from all over the world. And that is all the time we have for today. Our special series, The Season of AI and Basic Sciences. I'm Tian Wei on behalf of the team. Thanks for being with me.